Keys. They unlock doors, they turn ignitions, and they start cars. But ultimately, these are just flattened pieces of metal. This week on Warrior Faith, the key to your success. What up, Faith Warriors, and welcome back to another episode of Warrior Faith, where we are discussing scripture from the warrior's perspective. And if you're ready to take your faith to the next level, go ahead and download our app, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and share today's message with a friend. This week on Warrior Faith, we're talking about keys. And I want you to go ahead and take a key out and look at it with me. So as you're looking at this thing, you can see there's all kinds of little nicks and little cuts and grooves that make this thing, well, functional. And while it has all these nicks and cuts completely taken out of this once was a whole piece of metal. And as this whole piece of metal becomes a key, there was this carefully calculated process in which it dictated where all of those nicks and cuts and grooves might take place. And then a machine puts this piece of metal under immense pressure and force and cuts out the proper shapes. It's kind of like us. We often feel like we start off whole, and as we go through life, we get cut up and scarred, and over time we begin to feel like we are less whole or incomplete, like we've lost something that belongs to us. Once a solid piece of metal, now seemingly a useless piece of scrap, unless you have the lock that the key fits. In Scripture, the Apostle Paul gets really transparent with us when he describes a time when he was burdened by a thorn in the flesh. And while we don't know what that thorn was, we do know that it made him feel weak and powerless and ultimately insignificant. So let's take a look at it here in 2 Corinthians 12:8. This is Paul saying, 3 times I asked the Lord to take it away. Each time he said to me, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. So now I'm glad to boast about my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ can work through me. And that's why I say I take much pleasure in my weakness, in my insults, hardships, persecutions, and troubles that I suffer for Christ. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Just like the Apostle Paul, and just like that key, unless we actually see our true destiny or see that lock that we are perfectly designed to open, every one of those nicks and scars seem hopeless, painful, and useless. But as we take a step back and we look at it from God's eyes, and we start realizing that He has perfectly placed each scar, each cut, and each weakness in our lives so that His strength and glory can be seen clearly, not just to us, but the world around us, that's when we finally find what God has truly purposed us for. And it's like that lock is finally turned open. We can see the treasure that God has for us on the inside. Well, that's it for this week's message. And if you found value and perspective, I would ask that you share that value and perspective with a friend today, and reflect on the scars in your life that God has given you, and share that comfort with a friend. Plus out.